Hello there, so I'm going to bring you a video that has been kind of broken down on TikTok. The videos where we looked at the collection of Man United plaques from season 2013 to 2014. Now essentially for each fixture, each home fixture, the club produced a plaque for executive members, and I'm going to show you each fixture and each individual United legend and the plaques. So the first fixture, Chelsea at home, 26th of August 2013, and we have the late great Sir Bobby there. It's kind of a little hologram, and in each plaque we have the date of birth, when they signed for the club, when they made their debut and against whom, total appearances, total goals and position played. I believe Sir Bobby is second in the all-time goals scored for the club, second to Wayne Rooney. And just to mention, there's a little bit of ink damage there in the front. But anyway, second fixture was Crystal Palace, 14th of September, and we had Martin Buchan there, so defender, just the 4 goals in 456 games, signed in the 70s. Debut was made in the league away at Spurs. Next we have one of our goalkeepers who I've had the pleasure of meeting. You'll find Alex Stebny on this fixture against Leverkusen early in the season there, Champions League tie. And there he is, that's Alex Stebny. Interestingly, 2 goals in his career. Born on 18th of September, same as SRP. Debut against City. This player here was coined the King of the Stretford End. Actually relegated us one season, I believe, playing for City. So it's played for both Manchester clubs. Of course, the King of the Stretford End was Dennis Law, 237 goals in 404 appearances there. Actually made his debut against Albion as well, which is when that is the team that plaque is associated with. Okay, many people's number 1 goalkeeper for the club, of course, was the Great Dane. I'm not talking dogs, I'm talking Peter Schmeichel. This was a fixture against Liverpool at home, late September. Of course we had Peter Schmeichel there. 1 goal, I assumed he'd scored 2 or 3. And debut was made against Notts County there. So it's Big Pete. Then following the international break, I believe it was Southampton at home, the next home fixture, 19th of October. Here he is, Mr. Verbal Diarrhea. Gary Neville there, stalwart right back for the club. Certainly has a lot to say, doesn't it, Gary? 7 goals in over 600 appearances. Signed in the early 90s. Made his debut against Torpedo Moscow. That's our right back. Then it was to the Champions League fixture against Real Sociedad. Currently in the Europa League with us, I believe. Might see some reflections of the room and myself there. There he is, Ole Gunnar, Champions League winner, 99, that famous goal. Unfortunately, petered out for him as manager for the club, unfortunately. It was very sad for him, but there were a few good times along the way. And he averaged a goal roughly every 3 games or so there. Scorer of some very important goals. Remember our foursome up front, Yorkie, Cole, Sheringham and Ollie. Next it was a home fixture against the Potters. Stoke City, of course. Who did we have on the back? We had Sparky, Welsh forward, Mark Hughes, also represented both Manchester clubs, City and United. 163 goals in 467 games, so played a fair few games for the club there. Born 63. Signed 1980, debut 83. I'm not sure why there was such a gap there, but that was Sparky. Remember that late goal, the 90s, against Oldham at Wembley. Eventually won us the cup. Right, I believe I recently lost this 68 cup winner. Fixture was against Norwich, late October, midfielder. Nobby Styles there. 19 goals in 395. Signed in 57. I think we won the European Cup in 68. So it's quite a late winner at the club. And then of course the legend, the one and only, outspoken, honest, forthright. Arsenal in November, of course. We have Keno there, well respected. Hang on his every word, Sky. Serious, but also a fun side to him when you watch him. It'll be very funny. So only 51 goals in 480 appearances. But he was pretty much a deep-lying midfielder. Occasionally got forward. Later on, partnered Scholes. I remember Nicky Butt and also Veron a little bit later in the centre. So his debut was against Arsenal. the Charity Shield, signed in '93 from Nottingham Forest, of course. Okay, so Northern Ireland, or Northern Irish legend, Georgie Best there. Fair few goals for the club. Remember those mazy runs, making defenders look silly. Debuted against Albion. His fixture was against Everton. Early December. Life was cut short for George. Problems, alcoholism, unfortunately. What a player he was. Of course, another legend in many people's eyes for the club. Signed in the early 2000s. Went back in for him after a serious knee injury, I believe from possibly PSV. A recent stint as manager, 4 games. Did fairly well. We have Ruud van Nistelrooy there. Phenomenal goals per game ratio there. 150, 219. A predator in the 6-yard box. Some beautiful finishes. Made it look easy. Debuted in 2001 at Wembley. And the Charity Shield there. So that's Ruud. And we always seem to play Newcastle at home in December, don't we? So that was the 7th. Back to the Champions League, Shakhtar Donetsk, 10th of December. Let's see what player we have. Another legend I've had the pleasure of meeting. Still involved with the club heavily. You occasionally see him in the crowd. We have the great Paddy, Pat Creerand there. Lovely man. Midfielder with 15 goals to his name. Right, we had a famous winger, Stevie Coppell here. Purchased in the 70s. Let's bring him into focus there. There's Steve Coppell, our famous wingers. Only the 70 goals in 396. That fixture was against West Ham. Just shy of Christmas Day. Right, Captain Marvel in the eyes of many United supporters. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, players in our history. He's certainly up there, strong, powerful, eye for goal. He could tackle. He was a leader. Of course it was Brian Robson there. So, debut against Spurs in the League Cup, possibly at White Hart Lane. Signed in at 81. There we go, that was against Spurs. I had a New Year's Day there, 2014. A very sad story was the loss of this future bright spark for United, who apparently would have gone on to be one of our best ever players. Fortunately, we lost him in the Munich air tragedy. Duncan Edwards, there. Again, in the eyes of many United fans, one of our greatest. took the old half-back position there. 21 goals in 177 games at a tender age. Debut against Cardiff. And we played Swansea at home there. What is this fixture? We have Swansea again, so this could have been a League or Cup, or the other could have been the League or Cup game. So it looks as though we had them twice, sorry. Possibly League and Cup, maybe the FA Cup. 11th of Jan 2014. I don't know a lot about this player. Tony Dunn, fullback. Played a hell of a lot of games for the club. Debuted against Burnley. Born in 41, signed in 1960. So well before my time. 22nd of January 2014 we played Sunderland. Roger Byron there. Someone I'm terribly familiar with. He was a fullback. Just the 280 games for the club. 20 goals. Signed in 49. Debuted against Liverpool. Back in their journey from South Wales was Cardiff City. The 28th of Jan, of course at Old Trafford. Arthur Albiston here, full-back. Again, a lot of games for the club. Debuted against City. 74. Then it was the turn of Fulham, next home fixture. On the 9th of Feb there. And one of my favourite players, grew up watching in the 90s, signed from Newcastle United. And Kevin Keegan was in charge. Brilliant goal scoring record, 121. 275. Famously didn't take any penalties, so they were all from open play, I believe. He made his debut against Blackburn Rovers, a club he later went on to play for, I believe under Souness. Had a few problems with him. Signed in 95. And you'll remember his 5 goals in a 9-0 win against Ipswich at Old Trafford. I was at that game as well. The next fixture is one many United fans, including myself, always look for first. It's the home game against Liverpool, 16th of March. 2014. On the back we have Bex, famous right winger, hard working, scorer of some fabulous free kicks, one of the best crossers of the ball, if not the best I've ever seen. The only other person who could pass a ball like Beckham, in my opinion, is Kevin De Bruyne. Signed in the early 90s, out of the class of 92. World class in my opinion, Bex was. the Champions League, 19th of March. Olympiakos, Greek team, 19th of March. One of my favourite fullbacks that's ever played the game is Dennis Irwin. I grew up watching this man at left back. He could hit a ball very well. Free kicks, penalties, link-up play. He got forward. The perfect two-footed fullback. There, you may have saw him at the recent game in the crowd against that Norwegian team that I can't pronounce. I sat behind Fergie. I spotted you, Dennis, in the crowd. Next we have the cheating so-and-sos. Another fixture I always look forward to. City at Old Trafford, 25th of March, so we played a couple of the big guns at home later in the season. And there we go. SRP's favourite ever player, my idol, was Eric the King. Transformed us in the 90s. From a cup team to serial winners. Debuted against City in the league. I saw him score a fair few goals at home and away. Remember his volley against Wimbledon? I was there. 82 in 185 there. And it was the turn of the villains to Old Trafford. Up the M6 they travelled. It would have been Aston Villa. And at Birmingham, off at 19. Got Tommy Taylor there. Just look at those goal scoring records there. 131 in 191 during the 50s. Debuted against Preston North End at home in the league. Right, moving on. How many do we have left? Just the 4. Yep, 4 more home fixtures. Of course, we have a couple of classics here. Now you've been patiently waiting for this man. Many people's goat. He was featured on the Plaque against Bayern Munich. April Fool's Day, Champions League. Of course, CR7. Here he is, very young Ronaldo. Became a lot more prolific in terms of goals when Madrid had him in his prime, unfortunately. It's always his dream to go there. Represents Los Blancos. I think he originally started out on the right wing under Ferguson, the early 2000s. I often saw him then popping up on the left, and he obviously knew where the goal was. Brilliant with his head. He could score with his non-dominant foot as well when needed. Fabulous free kicks for United as well. A legend. No other way to put it. Making their way from Suffolk with the Yellow Canaries, of course. Norwich City. That's 26th of April. Bill Fulks there, defender. Nearly 700 games played for the club. One of our solid defenders. I have seen him play in clips. Very strong, commanding type of player. Right, it was the turn of Sunderland. Coming to the end of the season in May. And there he is, Ginger Ninja, Scalzi. I must say probably one of the best midfielders we've ever seen. Apart from the fact he couldn't tackle, he made up for that in passing ability, striking of the ball, goals scored. His passing was phenomenal. Dropped much deeper later in his career after starting, I'd say, behind the striker as a 10. 155 goals, 718 appearances. Famously called back to the club for a second stint after retiring by Fergie. He made his debut against Port Vale there. And finally, one of my favourite defenders ever for the club, the Geordie man. Solid, alongside Pallister, of course, against Hull. That fixture he was on was Stevie Bruce. You remember Bruce and Pally? First, in terms of my era, solid centre-back partnership. That followed, of course, by Vidic and Ferdinand. Look at this, Bruce is a central defender, certainly knew where the goal was. 51 goals. I'd probably argue that most of them are scored with his head. Remember his couple of goals winning us the league. Fergie sliding onto the pitch with Brian Kidd, possibly against Sheffield Wednesday. We had Stevie Bruce, a legend of the club. Love him to bits. Alright guys, I think that is your home fixture metal plaque journey from season 2013 to 2014. So many people on TikTok request certain players, but you can see some of your players requested aren't there. We often get Jason Park, Vidic and Ferdinand requested. Unfortunately, they're not in that particular collection. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.